The best brands, they scale and grow their business and ad account through awesome marketing and community efforts that allow the ad account to serve and exist in a context where customers already care about you, they value the business, and they're eager to try your product out because it reinforces an identity that they care about. Welcome back to another episode of Outliers, an examination of your all-time favorite brands and the all-time great ads that have helped to build them. Today, we're going to be examining a brand in the fitness space that is a behemoth, but they've gotten there without having to depend on paid media. GoRuck is an incredible fitness brand that has built an immense community and deep, passionate audience for their product. And that shows up in the way that their ads perform, and it creates a unique sequence when thinking through the kind of creative to serve into a business with massive organic demand. As always, this series is brought to you by Motion App, CTC's incredible partner in helping us increase the amount of high-quality shots on goal that we can take by being a key part of our creative system here at Common Thread Collective to ensure that we have a greater chance of achieving outlier results. Let's dive in. Home sweet home, back in the center of a spreadsheet, back in the center of our outliers plot graph, examining these little blue dots, these ads that have outperformed everything in the history of a brand. And today we have a cool one because today we're looking at a brand that was not built and is still not building primarily through the mechanism of paid media. And we're going to understand how that impacts specifically the kind of creative that's working and why it's such a powerful way to build a brand. So we're going to be looking into these dots for a business called GoRuck. GoRuck, for those of you that don't know, is a business that is built around building training vests, weights, and other equipment for primarily the CrossFit community, but also a much broader set of fitness enthusiasts who use their products from all over the world. It is truly an incredible brand with a clear sense of who they are and what makes them succeed. So to dive in, as always, let's begin by understanding and looking at some of their stats as a business. Now, what I want to say is this is a very big business with an immature ad account, meaning they have not spent a ton of money or energy using Meta as the primary mechanism to drive demand. And you'll see that in that the history of the business, they only have 773 ads. Remember last week, we looked at Travis Matthew had over 3,500, over 5 times the ads, despite these businesses being fairly comparable in size. Now, there's a couple of different elements when we look at the average spend per ad being $825. And as always, reinforcing the core point of this episode, most ads don't work, even for amazing brands where almost everything does work, or in situations where you're really just running lowest cost based on your budget, you're actually leaving a ton of meat on the bone. So there's also a lesson here in campaign structure and strategy that allows for you to maximize the opportunity, because the efficiency that these ads have produced is actually astronomical. This is one of the highest ROAS accounts we've ever come across with this low volume of spend. So in many ways, this mean only reflects a constraint that was created by the budgets of the accounts themselves based on the small percentage of budget each month that was allocated towards Meta. So you have a mean of $825, a median of $132, and a mode of just $2.75. The max, our hero, this dot right over here to my left, I guess right if you're looking at me, is $60,374. Just on the other side, we have another one that's right around $55. And then a third dot, the third outlier that we see really somewhere around $30,000. Not big numbers for the all-time greatest ads. If you go back the last few episodes, you see that both Bamboo Earth, Igloo, and Travis Matthew all have ads with over $100,000 in spend. Some of them upwards of almost $500,000 in ad spend. But here's what I want you to see. If we look at the standard deviation, this is a calculation that we use to understand the variance across the data set. And then we look at high performing ads, which we would consider to be one standard deviation above the mean. So the mean plus the standard deviation being 4,207. We see that 29 of the 773 ads, or 3.75%, is actually what we would consider the hit rate or the high performing rate of ads. This is almost double any of the other brands that we've looked at. And so that just illustrates that this is a brand that has a high success rate of their ads relative to that mean expectation or that high performing expectation. And this all goes back to the reason why. And as we start to look at these ads, you're going to begin to understand the way that this brand thinks about Meta is that historically it has sat almost exclusively at the bottom of the funnel, surrounding and capturing the demand that the brand itself is building. And that's why these two dots right here represent a very common form of advertising known as DPA, or dynamic product ads. Now, for many brands, when you use spend as the mechanism, look at historical, the initial product feed that was set up. So this dot over here, usually set up in the very early days of the ad account, is almost always going to be one of the highest spending ads of all time. But this second dot over here, this is the actual one that's representing. And this was actually started when CTC took over, which you can see about mid-April area is when we started running the ad account on behalf of the brand. And we launched a new product feed for a subset of products. And that's what's actually capturing the bulk of this demand here. So this is the highest performing spend per ad. It's going to astronomically clear everything else. And it's because so much work has been done by this brand to generate awareness and connection to their products that being able to deliver it to potential customers is usually not a first touch point. Even though this is a DABA campaign, it's not a remarketing DPA, it's a dynamic ad broad audience prospecting with product. We are starting by satiating the reality of the demand this brand has already created for themselves. Now we're still doing this on a click basis, so tight click basis with good exclusions to existing customers. So it is still incremental net new demand creation, but we're able to do it with ads that are simply product. And this is what the reality is for great brands that are doing the work of driving demand through awesome influencer partnerships with people like Claire Toomey, amazing content that they're generating all the time. They're doing lots of work around social fitness clubs and events and tribe training monthly recurring programs. There is so much that this brand does to drive ongoing engagement into the community that they're in from a marketing and effort standpoint that it makes the Facebook account serve a slightly different purpose, at least at this moment. Now, as we move out from that lowest hanging fruit in capturing that demand digitally, we'll begin to develop creative that supports in net new demand creation as well in the process. But if we look beyond this and we think, okay, this is a DPA, this is a DPA, then the question is, what's this dot here? And this is a fun one for us that's a little abnormal when we look at it. And it's because it is a DCT ad, something we don't talk a whole lot about at CTC because we don't generally run things in dynamic creative testing. And it's because what we want to control for usually is really making sure that we are leveraging product-specific offers and we don't always have that many units across it, et cetera, et cetera. But DCT can be a powerful ad product. And this particular ad is a DCT. This right here is the core frame that is served most often for the DCT. So you can see a good-looking fella, static image, wearing the Rucker 4.0, their best-selling product. So it combines offer, audience, and angle, things that you would see right there, all told and clearly through that image. But what's cool about this is that this DCT has lots of different ads in it. You can see all the variations that you are seeing here. Here's what they look like in the various stories formats, et cetera, et cetera. There's a couple of video assets in here. And the ad allows for all of these different images to be dynamically chosen by Meta for delivery. So when we examine this, this is really an interesting exploration in how both DPA, which is really just the product version of what DCT is from a lifestyle standpoint, really they're treating this almost like a dynamic ads broad audience with a product feed, but with lifestyle imagery. You can see we have lots of different, here's female audience, here's a male audience, another female, here's just product focus, here's a little bit more lifestyle focus. That's a little bit different demographic from an age standpoint. And so you're getting a variety of audience connection through the different products that are in this DCT. And this can be a really effective way to sell a specific offer. So I love the idea of brands being able to take a single offer, in this case, the Rucker 4.0 backpack, show off the color variations, the demographic variations into a variety of audiences that they're trying to access with a single format, static image, product lifestyle imagery, but tailored to different potential customers and audiences that allows Meta to deliver the variations of the ads to as many people as possible. End result, and here's the thing I'll tell you, this ad has a better ROAS than almost anything you could ever imagine. It's north of multiple, so it's two figures, like 10 plus ROAS across this account. Look at these two. I got them tuned in. That's Max and Shane. If you don't know them, they're awesome. They got excited there checking this out. But one of the highest performing ads ever. And it's, again, what I want to illustrate with this series so often is that it is often the context in which the ad exists that determines the efficiency of performance. I don't think anybody would look at any one of these individual static images and see that there's something incredibly novel or amazing hook or a incredible headline. The headline literally just says Rucker 4.0. But what they're doing is they're doing all of this marketing effort to deliver and build community and connections such that many people have heard of GoRuck. They have a positive reputation, an amazing product, such that when this product shows up in people's feed, it's usually not their very first touch point, or even if it is, it's often reinforced following the experience with the ad with really high quality touch points with individuals. The end result is something that works extremely well. Now, what's going to be fun is I plan to do an episode on GoRuck at the end of this series, where we come back and we actually deliver and look at the results as we begin to scale the ad account. Because up till this point, the spend has been very small. You can do some basic math about the amount of spend that's happening here. And as we begin to look to scale the ad account, we're going to have to be going out and doing a lot more education. So we're not just going to be focused on product and demand capture as much as we are going to have to educate around what it is, why it matters, what the use case might be, what the unique value proposition is, pricing comparison to other things, doing the work of advertising that surrounds it. So that work is still to come. But for now, it's about taking that work that they're doing, putting the product in front of net new customers still on an incremental click basis, and capturing that demand and driving profitable scale for the business. And to illustrate the work that we're doing on that transformation, I'm jumping in here inside of Motion, which our team at CTC uses to help measure, report, plan, and execute creative volume enablement across all of CTC. And you'll see that right now for GoRuck, we're beginning to expand more of the media spend in the last few weeks into videos versus while still leaning on that core pillar of data and bringing in the images to life. But we're beginning to expand more of the count into videos. And we'll continue to use Motion as a tool to help us build more of these awesome outlier dots. And here's what I bet. Here's what I bet by the next time that we review this at the end of this series, you're going to see the average spend per ad go up. You're going to see some increase in the amount of dots that get up into this level for this business as we simply scale the efficacy that's already built into this brand. The high performing rate might actually come down a little bit because we're going to introduce a lot more volume of creative, but we're going to have a higher spend per ad, and we're going to see continued growth of the ad account as we drive profitable scale for this business, moving beyond the work they've done already building the community to support the growth of GoRuck overall. So as always, keep in mind, this takes work, but the best brands, they scale and grow their business and ad account through awesome marketing and community efforts that allow the ad account to serve and exist in a context where customers already care about you, they value the business, and they're eager to try your product out because it reinforces an identity that they care about. Thanks for tuning in. It's been another episode of Outliers, brought to you by Motion.